Welcome to the show, everybody, and today's request is from Merrick, who's bringing Faith Hill back on the channel, and this time with her Grammy-nominated hit, Cry. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Oh, sound quality is very good. I already love it. For whatever reason, we'll see if I actually end up liking this song, but there's some chords on piano, on guitar, where immediately when you hear this melody in this piano tone, the way it's tuned, like I like everything going on in this so far. But we'll see. I might end up hating it. Yeah, I mean, there's just like a vibe to it. Yeah, that's a nice melody. And even the cinematography.
If I had just one tear running down your cheek.
Wow, she has a great voice.
I could cope, maybe I'd get some sleep if I had just one moment at your expense. Maybe all my misery,
you can feel it,
would be well spent.
Clarkson. Wow. She has a phenomenal voice, man.
Your love could be caged, honey, I would hold the key and conceal it underneath the pile of lies you handed me, and you'd hunt those lies.
Oh, I just love everything going on.
That'd be all you'd have to know for me to be fine. Yeah.
Oh, I love that note.
And die just a little, and baby, I would feel just a little less pain. I gave no wanting something in return, so cry just a little for me.
Wow. Such a great music video, too.
Give it up, baby. I hear you're doing fine. Nothing's gonna save me, and I see it in your eyes. Some kind of heartache coming. Give it a try. I don't want pity, I just want what is mine.
Wow! All right, that was Faith Hill, Cry. Oh man, that was a good song. Wow, and I remember some of you, the first Faith Hill song we did was The Way You Love Me, and I remember that's such a catchy song. I love that song, right? And like a lot of you were like, oh man, this is nothing like her usual stuff, and I was like, oh really? Like again, I don't know anything about Faith Hill, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like I was assuming that was her usual thing. And then hearing this, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like, yeah, this is it's completely different than her usual stuff. Like this, yeah, this reminds me a lot of Kelly Clarkson. And the reason why I say that, and not the other way in reverse, is because we've listened to more Kelly Clarkson than we've listened to Faith Hill. And the first Kelly Clarkson song I think I ever did on the channel was even a music video that's very similar to this, which is Behind These Hazel Eyes, right? So like that was like my first impression of Kelly Clarkson. And, you know, obviously the tempo is different. That's more of like a pop rock song. This is more kind of a ballad. But like just the music video, even almost the way they look, because I think there was a lot of rain in Kelly's video, or at least it was this like kind of duality of dark and light kind of thing. And it reminds me, and even at certain times, just like the way they belt notes and you know, that one note, and a couple times in the song, like it just reminds me. And also, because some people get angry, like I've noticed some people get really pissed off when I make comparisons between artists, and like I always want to remind people, I'm like, do you listen? Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm literally saying like I love both of these artists so much. I love Kelly Clarkson, and so for me to compare, you know, again, my enjoyments or certain aspects of these artists, that's a massive compliment. Like some people are like, oh, and I think of some people, like they get caught up in the artist themselves and their interpretation of the artist. They're like, oh, I hate that artist. And you're comparing them. Like, well, I don't. I love that artist. So for me, it's a compliment. For you, if you said that, it would clearly be a dig, but it's not. And so I think a little segue there is just, I think a lot of people have to realize that other people's interpretations and their words mean different things than probably the way you use those words and your interpretation of that. So as always, please give me the benefit of the doubt and try to see what I'm trying to say. Because in this case, I'm giving a massive compliment because I adore this song and I love pretty much any time an artist makes a song like this. This, like, we were just chatting on Twitch that like a lot of us like these like moody, tortured songs because a lot of us have trauma. A lot of us come from painful upbringings or painful relationships or painful breakups. And so stuff like this just like speaks to our soul. You know what I mean? Like in some weird way, the pain in this, you know, makes me feel, and it's not even a weird way, it's just natural. The pain in this it connects with my pain. And it makes me feel less alone. It makes me feel seen. It makes me feel understood. You know what I mean? In a way that we go through life and a lot of us have a hard time relating to people and feeling like people can relate to us, right? You know, a lot of us are going around this fake world and being asked how we're doing and people not really caring about the answer. And then you can't really feel like you can really go deep or honest with any answer. And so a lot of us are starved for a feeling of connection, a feeling of validation, a feeling of that we are valuable in the world in any way, that our stories, our experiences, people can potentially care about. And so when you find, you know, obviously a human being, and when they're the opposite sex, usually you end up in a relationship with them because that's what we do in relationships. We're finding somebody that can share certain elements of our pain, and then we fall in love, and then usually difficulties arise if one or both of you has not worked through your pain. Then you get into toxic, traumatic relationships. And then the other way is you listen to a song like this, and even though I wasn't fully paying attention to lyrics, which we're going to get into here in a moment, even though I wasn't fully paying attention to the lyrics, I'm something in my throat, sorry. But like I can feel the resonance. And that's the interesting thing about lyrics is that even if you don't know what a song is about, you can feel what it's about. Like, again, you can just feel it. Like even if there was no music video, if this was, even in some sense, if this didn't have lyrics, like literally, if she was like just ad-libbing or making, you know, cathartic, passionate sounds with her voice, it would actually have the exact same effects, probably emotionally, if you didn't know what the lyrics were like me right now. Like, that's the interesting thing is like, it's like, that's why music is so powerful. That's why, in some sense, music can be more powerful than poetry. Both can be very powerful. But what music can do is music can convey the meaning of something without words. literally just, that melody, the piano melody, the guitar melody, the violin melody in this song, and her vocal melody, purely, again, if she was just doing vocal fluctuations with her voice, if she wasn't singing anything, we would all kind of intuitively, archetypally know what the song was about. We would all know it's something about deep pain, and just about she's wanting to be understood. She's wanting to be valued. Again, that's what you're doing when you're crying, right? You're, in some sense, you're releasing this pain. And in some sense, like I'm thinking about this right now, like crying is like a self-soothing mechanism. Like when you cry, it's almost like it's the one opportunity you have to console yourself. And it's the one time you have to release this pain you have. And because usually you deny that pain, you repress it, right? But when you're crying, it's the one moment that you're saying, okay, I'm going to feel this, right? And usually you end up crying by yourself or in the presence of someone you love and feel trust and loyalty and safe with, right? So it's like crying is the one time in your life when you're accepting and loving yourself and holding yourself in a moment, right? So it's no accident that the song is called Cry, and it's about crying as kind of this way to feel, right? And again, it's just like, it's so, real for all of us. But yeah, just to get back to the song here for a moment, like, I adored everything about this. I love the instrumental. I love Faith Hill's vocal performance. In some sense, I love Faith in this song because I could still hear the country in her voice. I can definitely hear the crossover pop influence, like for sure. And Merrick said right now that she got a lot of shit on this record for its pop influence or its crossover influence. And I get that. But at the same time, like, I think this is a beautiful thing. I think this is kind of emerging, taking the best of both worlds. Like this is taking the kind of the pop. Pop done well is fantastic. They have some of the best, most emotive chorus styles in the world. Like pop done well, and it might not even be pop. It might be some other aspect of the influence, the deeper influence of pop music. But you can get some of the best vocal performances in pop. You can get some of the most emotive, cathartic vocal performances. And then you merge that with that kind of wholesome, grounded element of country, which Faith still has a hint of in her voice here, which I just love that. I love this. This song was this ebbing and flowing of these two styles merging into one. And what I love about this, and I've been thinking about this today before we started recording, was I love it when there's these different influences that come together. Like I was even thinking of in my branding, if you look deeper into my color palette I use with my logo and my branding, it's about 3 shades of blue it's 3 shades of blue, right? And in some sense, for me, that I saw that as the 3 sides of a certain aspect of my personality, right? And it dawned on me today that I'm going to be shifting that, and I'm going to be shifting to a new shade of blue for my branding, because I realized that I want a shade of blue that is not 3 shades of blue distinct, but I want a shade of blue that's those 3 shades of blue merged as one. So they're actually 3 distinct parts together as one thing, because I see that as integration. That's the part of our personality in our lives as we go through life. We're constantly integrating these different parts, because so much, and even my channel, to those of you that don't know, I merged my rock channel and my pop easy listening channel into one channel, because in some sense, when I had 2 channels, I was signaling to myself and the world that I have these 2 parts of myself that don't coexist. They are 2 distinct parts. And now, in some sense, symbolically, thematically, archetypally, I am merging these 2 sides of myself in one. And in some sense, again, it's just interesting how I'm having this epiphany right now in my life. And I think it's no accident. I think my subconscious is kind of coming forward, that it's about the colors merging into one. It's about the channels merging into one. And it's about different parts of my personality merging into one. And again, the reason why I'm going through all of this is because in some sense, Faith Hill, and I think really good crossover artists, they take the best aspects of a genre and they literally merge them into one, where this doesn't feel like, oh, the verse is country and the chorus is pop. Like some artists literally do that, where they will have these two parts of a song that kind of come together, but they're still distinct. And then what I think is really beautiful is when you get an artist that has the inspiration and the technical know-how to literally merge two styles and make them one. And that's usually when you get artists that break through and become cultural icons, because they become artists that create genres within themselves, because they are the first one to distinctly merge two things that don't seem to go together. And then what happens is you get the best artists that do this in any given genre. And then as you go through time and go through eras, these people that create unique styles, people come up that merge those unique styles. So you get someone who merges country and pop, as Faith Hill did, and someone that might merge, I don't know, rock and rap. And then they merge those things together in a way that we have never even seen before, where it's a style that is somehow the best aspects of country, pop, rap, and rock all in one. And there are some artists I've seen that actually merge pop, rap, and rock. Like, you know, one band is I Prevail, and they kind of do all of that at the same time incredibly well. And they're revolutionary in the genre because they're doing these three things really well. And so I think a lot of us would go, oh, that will never work. But until someone makes it work, because someone has the artistic ability to actually merge these styles in a way that makes sense. So I think, again, on every level, I adored this. This is one of my favorite country pop crossover songs. But yeah, let's jump in the lyrics of this one now. All right, we're back with Faith Hill Cry. So if I had just one tear running down your cheek, maybe I could cope. Maybe I'd get some sleep. If I had just one moment at your expense, maybe all my misery would be well spent. So what I get from she's saying here is she's saying, I wish I knew you cared about me. I wish I could make you cry. You know, she's essentially saying, I feel like you don't see me. I feel like you don't value me. I feel like you don't care about me. And we have these issues and struggles in our relationship. And I don't even feel like you care enough about me or the relationship enough to change anything. Like, I wish you could care about me enough that I could impact you in any way. But I feel like in some sense we're in these two distinct worlds and we're completely separated from one another. Like, that's what I get from she's saying right there. And then here we go. Could you cry a little? Lie just a little. Pretend that you're feeling a little more pain. I gave, now I'm wanting something in return, so cry just a little for me. So yeah, everything I just said. She's saying, I wish we were in a relationship together, because we're not. We're two people living in different worlds pretending like we're sharing a world. We're pretending like we're sharing a relationship, but we're both dying inside because we are cut off from each other. A lot of the time, she's clearly the more emotional one. He's probably, again, more disconnected from his heart. And this is the issue with a lot of the time masculine and feminine polarity, is that a lot of extremely feminine, emotional women get attracted to stoic men because there's a polarity there. There's a natural ebb and flow of energy. But the issue is if the man actually has no access to emotion, usually within after a year and a half, 2 years, the relationship starts to decay and die because he has no ability to actually add any feeling or passion or love into the relationship. So even though she's attracted to that stoic nature, it's like what you're attracted to and what is good in a relationship are two different things that hopefully a man has access to both. He can be attractive and at the same time be a good partner. Because there's a lot of men who are only a good partner and they're actually not able to really develop that other side of themselves, or they are attractive and they can be stoic and they can be strong, but they don't have the tenderness and the emotion deep down to make a relationship actually work in the day-to-day, in raising the children, in keeping the intimacy alive and keeping the fire alive, and in sharing, you know, heart and sharing empathy and sharing love with their partner. And so she's essentially archetypally talking about that. If your love could be caged, honey, I would hold the key and conceal it underneath the pile of lies you handed me. If your love could be caged, honey, I would hold the key and conceal it underneath the pile of lies you handed me. And you'd hunt those lies, they'd be all you'd ever find. And that'd be all you'd have to know for me to be fine. That's really interesting. That's like super deep. That's extremely poetic. And in some sense, it's like overly poetic for me to understand as soon as I like quickly look at it. Like that's something you kind of meditate on, like for a little bit. Like that's some deep shit right there. Yeah. If your love could be caged, like if I could cage all of your love, I would hold the key. So I would have access to this caged love and conceal it underneath the pile of lies you handed me. That's interesting. I need to actually look at this in my own time, because the answer is not coming to me immediately. Because like I get this like one line at a time. It's like, okay, I get like, you know, this man doesn't seem to have access to a lot of love. He doesn't have access to his emotional, sensitive side, his lover archetype. And she wishes he could at least just, okay, every so often you show me a bit of love. I wish I could cage that and hold it and have the key so that I could almost take a hit of your love. Almost if you see it like a drug, like taking a hit of a joint or a cigarette. It's almost like I wish I could have your love, and I wish I could just take a little bit of it just to survive. You know what I mean? And conceal it underneath the pile of lies you handed me. I wish I had a cage of your love, and I wish I could conceal it under the pile of lies you handed me. So essentially the pile of lies that I perceive her talking about is when we came together, you presented yourself as a compassionate, empathetic human being. And now being with you, I realized that you repress the thing that you led with when we met. You know, again, you were more romantic when we met, and now you've let that side of you die. I don't know why she'd want to conceal it though. Like, or maybe she's saying he's concealed it. He has his love caged, and he's concealing it underneath the pile of lies. Like, it's like, you know, again, there is a love underneath. Yeah, that's what I mean. It seems to be like these two different parts that she's talking about. And you'd hunt those lies, they'd be all you'd ever find. Like what I get from this is she's saying, like, once you create this fake persona of this loving, sensitive, compassionate person who's also stoic and attractive, it's like you end up having to play up a facade, you know, hunting a lie. And all you can ever find is the lies, and maybe she's talking about like when all you have is lies, you forget who you really are. And there is a cage of love that you do have, but you've lost track of it because you have so many lies. And that'd be all you'd have to know for me to be fine. And then I think she's saying here, like, all I'd need to know is that you do have this side of you. I don't need to see it all the time. I don't even need to feel it all the time. I just want to know that you have a sensitive side, that you have a soft side that can love me, that can interact with me, because I feel like we're these two different animals that can't coexist. That's what I get from that. And then she's saying, yeah, can you just cry a little? Give it up. I hear you doing fine. Nothing's going to save me. I can see it in your eyes. Some kind of heartache. Honey, give it a try. I don't want pity. I just want what is mine. So I think she's saying right here that, yeah, like I can see it in your eyes, some kind of heartache. That, yeah, you're not here. That the person who I fall in love with, the person I want, doesn't exist anymore. Or at least even the lie thing, it never existed. It was never real. And then here, yeah, honey, give it a try. I don't want pity. I just want what is mine. And she's saying right here, what is mine is connection. What is mine is empathy. I demand, I have a right to a good relationship, and I have a right to your love and your compassion. Yeah. And then the outro, cry just a little for me. Could you just cry a little for me? Anyway, this was Faith Hill Cry. Absolutely brilliant song on every level. I love the lyricism. I love the song itself. This song is just perfect for me. Like, this is just everything I look for in a meaningful song. So I love this. And now for you, what are your favorite Faith Hill songs? Let me know down below. And we've actually done quite a bit of Faith Hill. So if you want to go on the Faith Hill journey with me, click right here, and I'll see you in the next one.